everyone, and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our June 23rd, 2020 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including a sneak peek at Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to be talking about the trailer for Superman Man of Tomorrow, and so much more. We're also going to be turning to you to answer your questions and comments about anything Superman related, and to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show. Let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Going well, mate. And you?
Well, still living in Corona times, but, it's a lot happened this week, so we had stuff to distract ourselves with.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Superman, because this is WGBS Live, and because it is live, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us right now on YouTube. So about halfway through the show, and if we don't have a lot going on, which, I don't know, that Superman the Man of Tomorrow talk might take a while, we'll start taking calls. Now, it's a really simple process. You're going to need Skype. Go to Skype, find Superman homepage, message us that you'd like to be on the show, and wait for us to respond. Now, a couple of things. One, message us. Don't try to call in, because that can screw things up. Also, if we do happen to have you on and you are watching WGBS Live through an external speaker, please mute that, because we are on a bit of a delay and that can kind of screw things up.
Yes, indeed. And for those of you tuning in live via YouTube to watch tonight's show, we ask you to get involved in the show by commenting in the YouTube chat thing there. You'll be able to post your comments, ask questions. Michael and I will react to those as the show goes on, so get involved. And if you want your comment to appear during the show on the screen, feel free to post a super chat. All you have to do is click on the little dollar symbol. A slider will appear on your screen. Decide on a dollar amount that you're willing to donate, and we will feature your comment or question on the screen. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. Well, Michael, for once in our life doing this show, something dropped before the show went on instead of after the show, and we'll get to that. But it's been a week for a couple of different kind of things to drop this week.
Mm-hmm.
And we start with movie news like we usually do, and we had a sneak peek from Zack Snyder for his upcoming cut of the Justice League movie, and we're going to play that now, and hopefully that will not be a drama with HBO Max, where this will end up being shown next year. But here is that sneak peek that Zack Snyder dropped this week, and HBO Max also uploaded it to their YouTube channel.
The bell's already been rung, and they've heard it. Out in the dark, among the stars. Ding dong, the god is dead.
So there you have it. We see Diana. She is obviously discovering an image of Darkseid for the first time, and then we see an image of Darkseid from the movie. So not very long, but something we haven't seen before, which is nice to get.
Yeah, I saw that it was billed as like a teaser trailer. It's more of just like a sneak peek, like a scene. And it did two things. One, it showed that the original concept for this movie was very different than the movie we got. Whether or not that's going to be bad or good, is going to be told when it actually comes out. The other thing is, God, I hope Darkseid looks better when everything's cleaned up. Because every time I see that, I don't think Darkseid. I think dude on a heavy metal album cover wearing shorts. Because it really doesn't look scary.
Yeah.
When he's surrounded by the fire.
Yeah, so it is Yeah, obviously there's more work to be done, but that's something we hadn't really seen before. I don't think we've seen before. People are in the comments. Tina's saying thinks we've seen it before. I don't remember ever seeing that image of Darkseid up on the wall there, like with her with the fire hell stick in her hand.
Yeah, that definitely we haven't seen yet. The image of Darkseid itself is something that we have seen. So, but again, it's not like it's not terrible, and it does. In all honesty, it makes me really interesting to see this cut of the movie. Just to see how much different it is from the version that we eventually got.
John in the comments is asking, do you think we'll get another trailer down the line? 100% we will. There are a couple of months.
Oh, yeah.
There's at least 6 months, or not, if not more, before this hits HBO Max, and so we will definitely get more teasers and an official trailer somewhere down the track. So thank you, John, for your question and for your super chat donation.
Yeah, I'm sure that maybe by like August we'll have like a full one for that fandom thing.
Yeah, so don't forget that Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, his cut, will premiere on HBO Max in 2021, and the trailer will debut out on the DC Fandom event August 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. That was the date for that event. So looking forward to all of that. All right, well, as I mentioned, something dropped just before we went to go air to air tonight, a couple of hours earlier today. The exclusive official trailer for Superman Man of Tomorrow. IGN were able to get that and post that today. I imagine sometime tomorrow the official press release and the trailer will go up on YouTube for everybody else. So it's let's have a look at it. It's really interesting. I'm loving the animation, and we'll talk about this in detail as we watch the trailer right after this. Here it is, Man of Tomorrow's official trailer.
I don't want him to feel different.
He is different. He lifted a tractor with one finger, Martha. Whoever put him in that ship had no idea or care for how dangerous a world they were sending him to.
Breaking news. An unidentified object heading towards Earth was detected by Star Labs.
Look! Up in the sky! Why are you here?
Why are you here, Kryptonian?
Lois, and you are?
I'm Clark Kent. This planet is protected, alien.
It's ass-whooping time!
I thought Martians only existed in the movies.
Those movies are terrible.
Are you right, Miss Lane?
What's the S for?
Superman.
Those people are in grave danger.
Let them go! My name is Kal-El of Krypton, and I come in peace.
So there you have it. That is the trailer for Superman Man of Tomorrow. I don't know an exact release date yet, but the Blu-ray and DVD combo packs are available for pre-order at our website. I like it. I'm impressed. And I don't get the American Alien vibe that we were worried about.
I'm still getting it.
You still are?
That costume he's wearing, the fighting of Lobo, that's all from the latter half of American Alien, which, again, it's all in how it's done. Just because they take certain emotional beats and cues from it doesn't mean it's going to end up just like it. I was a little torn. I mean, like nothing about it said, "Oh, this is going to be terrible." I just a little annoyed. Not annoyed. Annoyed's not the right word. This going back to the well of showing Superman beginning.
Yeah, I get that.
It's just like if you hadn't done it 15 times in the last couple of years, maybe that would be a different thing. But on the other hand, it looks pretty smooth. I'm not entirely sold on the costume because I don't like how that belt looks, and I don't like an S on the belt. I think it's kind of silly. But the animation is smooth. Looks like it's going to be action packed. It doesn't look like Superman's getting knocked around too much. Usually in these things they just show him getting beaten, like Lobo or somebody owed him money. The having Martian Manhunter be kind of like his guide is interesting, and I don't know how I feel about it. I want Superman to kind of figure out things on his own, but on the other hand, having another alien to kind of show him the way may end up make for a good movie.
Yeah, it is interesting having Martian Manhunter there. I kind of get the feeling that he's new to everybody as well, so he's been in the shadows, hiding, obviously masquerading as John Jones or what have you, and because Superman comes out and is there for everyone to see as an alien, maybe that gives Martian Manhunter feels like he has permission to also reveal himself. So yeah, it'll be an interesting dynamic there. The costume, I'm with you. There's not enough yellow there with that belt being completely red with the trunks red and whatever that S symbol kind of yellow belt buckle thing going on. It doesn't really do the costume justice. Superman has a very lean physique. While he's muscular, he's not bulky. Is very much almost like a swimmer's type physique. So that's an interesting change from what we've seen in recent animated movies where he's really been a brute, really bulky.
Yeah, just having him be a beast seems to be, I think Henry Cavill is a good, one of the best examples of that, where we're just going to make him monstrous. Whereas Brandon Routh had a large physique, but like this, it kind of more of a swimmer's body with a long torso. Which, on one hand, I don't like, as you call it, a brute. That type of body isn't like a deal breaker for me. Like
No.
I don't care.
No, exactly.
But the idea of him being like thinner makes his superpowers seem that much more amazing. Because when you see like a huge hulking guy, like when you see Henry Cavill, you think this dude can lift. But if you see somebody who's a little thinner and suddenly he's tossing buildings around, that's kind of cool. That to me is more of that Kurt Swanish type Superman.
And it was interesting to see Superman tell Lex Luthor the S stands for Superman.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to do that. I'm kind of curious what Lex's role in this is going to be. Is he just going to be kind of not a villain, but they're setting him up that eventually he's going to be the villain? Because if they're using this as a jumping off point for a new animated universe, then having it be an origin story is fine. You're kind of setting the stall out for who this Superman is. The trick is, after this, do they do another one that's just another standalone Superman story? And how good is that going to be? But I'm looking forward to it as much as it looks interesting and it's a new Superman thing and I want to see it. There's nothing about it that makes me go, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
But there's also really nothing about it that makes me go, ooh, I have to see that right now.
Yeah, I understand it's another origin story. Venkman in the comments in his super chat asks thoughts on the prototype costume. You have it. I mean, that kind of gives you that American Alien vibe where, that's kind of what was used in that. I can take it or leave it. Obviously, it's not going to last very long because he puts it on.
No.
Even the cape just comes off as soon as he flies out the window, and then the next thing you know, while he's fighting with Lobo, it gets destroyed through the machine gun fire. So I'm guessing that's where he decides he has to come up with something a bit more indestructible.
Yeah, it's got to be something that's going to stand up to what he's going to be putting it through. So then it looks like Clark and Martian Manhunter are having tea at the Kent house.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if that's where he finally gets the costume from. Plus, ever since that episode of Justice League where Clark took John home for the holidays, I like the idea of John just hanging out at the Kents and the Kents just being nonplussed about it. Wasn't
that a Justice League Unlimited episode? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Comfort and Joy Christmas episode from the second season. There was a quality to Jonathan Kent's voice that for about 30 seconds I thought, is that Clancy Brown?
Yeah.
It's not, but it sounds a little Clancy Brownish when he first starts talking. But there, too, what we're setting up is that, okay, we've got to show that he feels alienated. And again, it's like we keep playing this record. The record goes around and around, and when it's done, it starts right back at the beginning. So I'm trying. I almost didn't comment on it because I threw something up on Facebook today, just some first impressions, and I almost didn't because I don't want to come off as like I'm just being negative because so many people were excited about it. But at the same time, I feel how I feel, and I'm not telling anybody that they're wrong for feeling how they feel. If you're like really excited for this and you're, just like can't wait to see it, I'm happy for you. There's only so many times I could see the same thing over and over again and get excited about it, I guess, is the best way to say it.
I guess in this way, the alienation stuff seems to be coming from the Kents rather than from Clark himself. It seems like he is not too hung up on it. It's more like the Kents worrying about him. John saying Superman's supposed to be younger in this film is his super chat comment. Yes, obviously this is an origin. This is him young. This is him before his experience. So yeah, I guess he would probably be maybe in his early 20s.
Yeah, I would say that probably either right out of college or maybe a year or two older than that.
Yeah.
Because I think the early press releases said that he's an intern at the Daily Planet.
Yeah, he's an intern for the Daily Planet, learning on the job how to save the city of Metropolis.
So it's one of those things where it's like this is Superman Begins. Yes. I guess.
So Venkman's super chat is, I've not read American Alien, but based on everything I've heard from friends like Michael Bailey, I'm avoiding it as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't think, knowing Venkman as I have gotten to know him over the years on Facebook, it's not something that he would like. And just really, I like that attitude. Like, I don't think I'm going to like it, so I'm not going to read it. So, and the other side of that is, oh, how do you know? And it's just like, it's just, you could read it and be surprised and all that, but what if you read it and it's everything you thought it was going to be, and then you end up hating it, and then you've wasted your time. So
it's like looking at certain foods and knowing that you just won't like it.
Yeah, I can look at the best prepared liver and onions on the face of the planet. I am never eating that.
Yeah.
Unless there's nothing else. If it's between that and starving, obviously.
Yes.
But still.
Mind the Gap saying, so what eras or creators should they mine from aside from Origins? So for future animated movies, what would you like to see? Was there a story that's from the comic books or an idea in your own mind that you think that they could possibly go with either for an animated movie or a live action film?
Everybody wants Brainiac. I'm not 100% sold on that, mainly because, animated-wise, we got that. Superman Unbound was a really good adaptation of the Brainiac story. I don't think there's a specific story that I want to see. There's not I want them to adapt Exile or Crisis of the Crimson Kryptonite, or maybe Time and Time Again. That might be fun. Watching Superman bounce through time and bump up against the Legion of Superheroes and the Demon and stuff, that could be kind of cool. But I just want... This is going to sound weird because it's so simple. I want a Superman story that is for Superman what Hush was for Batman. I want somebody to trip hammer through Superman's rogues gallery and his world, show how cool it is, take all the toys out of the box, play with them a little bit, and then put them back in the box. Because that is going to leave people with a better feeling than just constantly doing the origin story or constantly doing the death. And some people have suggested, like, there was a story in 2002 called Ending Battle. Would that count because it threw Superman up against a bunch of his villains? Yeah, no, but just having that type of story where you're playing in his world and you're playing with Clark Kent, you're playing with him at the Daily Planet, but you get to show these Superman villains that are so often thought of as being one of the weakest rogues gallery and showing how awesome they can really be. I mean, that Up and Away story had a lot of that in it when they came back from Infinite Crisis. So I just want something that's I just want a cool Superman story, I guess is my answer to that question.
And it's interesting that you say, Superman skipping through time, or even with multiversal stuff, that we saw the news today that there's possibly the chance of a cameo appearance of Batman in the Flash movie, played by Mr. Mum himself.
Yeah, Michael Keaton.
30 years later.
And that I'm excited for. It really depends on how they do it. I doubt he'll be like a main part of it, but I like the idea that if we're going to do that, let's just go all out for it. But again, do we really need another Flashpoint adaptation? This will be like the third between the animated film and what they did on the Flash TV show. They're really going back to that well.
And it'd be interesting, like if you can get Michael Keaton's Batman coming back in a cameo, then there's possibilities that you could have Brandon Routh, returning as Superman, which a lot of people have been calling for, considering that he was so popular in that Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover as Superman once again, having played the role in Superman Returns. So it shows that DC are embracing the possibilities of multiverse characters or different versions of characters, that they're not stuck in that frame of, no, this has to be just one thing at a time. We can't have something on live action TV and in a live action movie.
And you mentioned a multiversal idea. We've talked in the past of doing a kind of an Into the Spider-Verse movie with Superman, with all of the different variations of Superman coming together to fight something like they did in Final Crisis. I think, there are ways to treat this character to speak to his strengths without having to fall on the crutch of, well, let's show people how he came to be who he is. Because, like I've said, I think the popularity of Tyler Hoechlin's Superman comes from a place that he's a guy that's already on the job, and that's what a lot of us want to see. Like, there are people who want to see, how he, who he is and how he came to be. But I honestly think that, in all honesty, a larger audience just wants to see Superman doing Superman stuff. Yeah,
did you see the question there? Anthony was asking, how do you feel about the Burton Batman replacing Flashpoint one?
I'm fine with that. I don't think that it's necessarily going to replace the Flashpoint one. I think if you're going to do a multiversal story, maybe it's, if you have Michael Keaton playing the Flashpoint Batman, that would be interesting. If you have at some point in the Flash's journey him coming upon the Bruce Wayne of Earth 89, as they called it, that's fine too, because that doesn't mean that you can't have the Flashpoint Batman. And I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is chomping at the bit to play that character. since he played Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman. So I'm good with it either way. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. All right. In other movie news, this one dropped today as well. We played the promo for it a couple of months back, but the final cut, they're calling it. It's a fan remastered version of Superman the movie. What they've done is they've included digitally enhanced and remastered scenes, special effects from the 1978 film. I'm going to play the release trailer that was posted on YouTube, and you can download the 10 gigabyte full movie. It's a torrent. There's other links and that. But let me just play the trailer for you. This is controversial to say the least, but I'll play the trailer and you make up your mind.
Your eternal father, my little Kal-El. We will never leave you, even in the face of our deaths. You will make my strength your own. See my life through your eyes, as your life will be seen through mine. The Son comes the Father, and the Father the Son. You have great powers.
One thing I do know, son, and that is you are here for a reason.
I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
We're sitting on top of the story of the century here.
Who are you?
A friend.
You are revealed to the world, but you still must keep your secret identity.
Why?
Your enemies will discover the only way to hurt you by hurting the people you care.
What the hell? What happened?
Is that how a warped brain like yours gets its kicks? By planning the death of innocent people?
No. By causing the death of innocent people.
Fire. Mind over muscle?
They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way. For this reason above all, capacity for good, I have sent them you, my only son.
So there you have it. That's they call it the final cut, digitally enhanced, remastered, 1978 version of Superman the movie. Obviously, there's some new scenes in there. They've redone some of the special effects with explosions and rockets and spaceships and aeroplanes. Thoughts?
So, because I can't hear the volume the way the people watching it on YouTube can hear it, just because of how our setup is, it really looked like Lois said, "Who are you?" and he just flew off. Which is an interesting creative choice of just making Superman look like a jerk. Now, here's the thing. There are times like with Star Trek The Motion Picture, which came out in 1979. When that film was released, a lot of the effect shots weren't finished. So there are things that look really off. And when they went back in the early 2000s, and Robert Wise, who was the director of that movie, did the director's cut, the special effects people that came on did everything they could to make it look like it was made in 1979. I don't think Superman the movie is one of those movies that needed any enhancements in the special effects. There's nothing really about anything they did that doesn't still hold up. The flying effects still look amazing. 100%. The model effects still look amazing. And even the ship traveling through space, I loved the kind of ethereal feeling it had. So improving the explosion of, the destruction of Krypton and making more space stuff as the ship is careening through. I'm like, you don't need to do that. I mean, I will never say, don't follow your passion. This was a total waste of time. What are you doing with your life? But it's just like one of those things where I don't think this is something that really needed like this type of treatment. Like before the 3-hour Blu-ray that came out a couple years ago, the fan edits were, let's get as much footage in there as possible, assemble it together, and see what it would look like when it's all laid out. And that's different than this. This is going back and saying, oh, we're going to make it look better. And I don't think that's the right mindset.
Yeah, I agree. And that's where some of the criticisms have come from people who are massive fans of this movie, is that it's all about redoing what doesn't necessarily need to be done. Venkman says, I'd still rather see someone do a special edition fan edit of Superman 4. And I don't disagree, because that movie probably needs some enhancements with special effects in those films. And I know one of our friends on Facebook is actually enhancing some of those and doing that for that film. Superman the movie, as you say, stands the test of time because its effects are still fantastic. Some of the fashion might be dated, but the effects still stand up to today. So I don't think it needed, like the aeroplane, the Air Force One, it didn't necessarily need to have modern CGI done to it, because it still doesn't look hokey. It doesn't look like it's a puppet on a string, as you get in some older films. So while I appreciate what they've done and the effort that they've put into it is fantastic, and I commend them for the passion that they've had to do this, and the time and effort that it took. I don't think it was necessary, and I don't think that Superman the movie is a movie that you necessarily toy with in that way, because it is a classic, and as I said, it stands the test of time. Superman 4, yes, probably could do with some fixing.
I would love, now given how some of those scenes went, maybe not the best, but I would love for someone to take, the adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I think was proven remarkably with the special editions of Star Wars and Return of the Jedi. I don't lump Empire Strikes Back in there, because the changes made to Empire were really, there wasn't as many changes, which I think just proves that, that film really didn't need a whole lot of work. But putting extra banthas in the background and doing a scene of the deleted scene of Han talking to Jabba that looked bad, and changing explosions, that didn't enhance my enjoyment of that film, because I already loved that movie.
Yes.
And it's like this one, I already love this movie. I already can sit here, close my eyes, start with the Warner Brothers logo and the dedication to Jeffrey Unsworth, and just go through the entire thing in my head. And I'm going to say it one more time just so there's no confusion here. I'm not saying that nobody should follow their fan passion.
No.
Because that's what makes us fans, and that's what's the cool thing about it. But it's just like one of those things where, everyone, there was some excitement in a chat we're both involved with today about it, and I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. Yeah. In all honesty.
That's the way I think a lot of people reacted, was like, oh, was this really necessary? Will they do one for Superman 2, Superman 3, Superman 4? We don't know. That was the question put there by John. They had to raise some money and funds. They ran a fund, like a GoFundMe thing, kind of for this, to get it done, because obviously there's time and effort and expenses that are required. Obviously it's a fan project, so for all their efforts, Warner Brothers may come down and crack down on them and make it unavailable and give them a cease and desist. So there is risk involved in putting a lot of time and effort into these things, because you don't have approval and you are using copyrighted material, and therefore you might end up getting your wrist slapped and all your efforts for nothing. But I commend them for the hard work they put into it. It is nice and interesting to see, but as I said, and as we both, I think, agree, this is probably not the film that necessarily needed any updating. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're over the halfway mark of tonight's show. We're going to come back on the flip side, talk about stuff on the television side of things. So stick with us. We'll be back right after these messages. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen have been kidnapped. Who will save the day? You are Superman. All the powers are yours. Flight, heat vision, super speed, super strength, freezing breath, and X-ray vision. Buy early and receive a DC Comics Collector's Edition Superman comic book. Superman, the New Adventures video game.
So there was the infamous N64 Superman video game.
I think at some point, just if as the technology gets better for us, we should just have a thing where an episode we just fly through rings the entire time. It'd be about as exciting as playing that game. I still hold that the best modern, quote unquote, modern Superman video game was Shadow of Apocalypse for the PS2.
100%.
I would kill for like a modernization of that, like they did with Final Fantasy, but. It's a Superman game, so no one's going to do anything.
All right, as I mentioned before the break, on the TV side of things, if you're a subscriber to the DC Universe digital streaming service, July is going to be a month full of Superman viewing. They will be adding, as of Wednesday, July 1st, so next week, All-Star Superman, Superman Unbound, Superman versus the Elite. They'll also be bringing Superman Doomsday, Superman Batman Apocalypse, and Superman Batman Public Enemies, I should say. So they're the 6 animated Superman films and a slew of Superman or recent Superman comic books and Superman-related comic books will also be available on the DC Universe digital streaming service as of July 1st. And I believe HBO Max announced today also that they're bringing the Christopher Reeve Superman movies as of July. So, and are extending things like Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and those that are currently on there that were supposed to stop at the end of June. They're going to keep them going until the end of the year.
I honestly don't see why they would pull those, in all honesty. If you're going to gin up interest in your Justice League, in your Zack Snyder Justice League, you need those movies on there. Not that I have them digitally because I'm me, but I think giving those movies, all of those movies, as wide an audience as possible is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I agree. So that's the DC Universe digital streaming service. And just quickly back to the movie side of things, the upcoming Empire magazine issue is a Heroes issue, and there's the cover there. Superman's not on the cover, but you've got Indy, you've got Wonder Woman, you've got Black Panther, Ripley, Iron Man, James Bond, many others. Obviously, Superman will be mentioned in the magazine. You can't, I don't think, have a Heroes issue of a movie magazine without mentioning Superman. And Mark Miller, writer who's worked on Superman in the past, tweeted this photo of himself holding the Christopher Reeve Superman cape that he owns. He was interviewed for the magazine, and I imagine there's obviously a part of the interview where he speaks about Superman movies. And so that Empire magazine is the July 2020 edition, Heroes issue.
Yeah, I appreciate his passion for it. I'm not always on board with Mark Millar's writing. Some of his tics are, they're pretty despicable. But he did a really good run on Superman Adventures.
100%.
Back in like the late 90s.
Yes.
So, it's not like I could say, oh, he's terrible. I mean, they gave him his own trade paperback.
Yeah, yes. So that's the Heroes issue, July, of Empire. All right, on the television side of things, this week Warner Archive announced that they're finally releasing the complete series of Legion of Superheroes, the animated series. The complete series will be released on Blu-ray starting July 14th, and pre-orders are now available via our website. And this will contain all 26 episodes of the popular show, which aired on the CW from 2006 to 2008. And it will also contain a bonus features section involving the featurette We Are Legion and an exclusive audio commentary on the series heralded two-part finale Dark Victory Part 1 and 2 by producers James Tucker and director Brandon Vietti and the voice of Saturn Girl Kara Walgren. So that is July 14th. They're also releasing the complete second season on DVD at the same time. So if you've already bought season one, yes, finally. So if you already bought season 1 and you don't want to go buy the complete series, you can just buy season 2 on DVD as well.
See, this is why I love Warner Archive, just because they learned, I think for Superman, the Superboy, first season of Superboy was a good indication of like, okay, maybe we won't release this whole thing, but when you have it basically where it's print on demand, why not? I mean, leaving money on the table is stupid, and as long as you're not, you don't have to sink a whole lot of money into it with extras. People just want the material to have as a physical thing. The only other thing I think Superman-wise that hasn't been released, I don't think there's ever been a legit release of any of the musical version, either the ABC version or if they ever filmed anything back in the 60s. And the Filmation Superboy series still hasn't been released.
That's the main one, I think.
Yeah, so Warner Archive, your move, pal. We'll buy it. I keep saying this, like they're finally starting to put some of the George Perez issues of Action Comics on Comixology after it not being there for years. So it's like people, it's like I want to give you money. I'm not asking it for free. I'm not demanding it. I'm not saying because I can't get it legally, I'm going to buy it illegally. I just want to buy it. So John, I'm very happy about this.
John's asking, are there any behind-the-scenes stuff on the DVD? Well, other than the commentary, which I just mentioned, and the featurettes, I don't know if there are any other things on there. They haven't really listed them. We don't have the back cover artwork as yet to see what other material is on there, but I think the commentary is pretty cool. That's always insightful.
Yeah, you don't get... It's not like the old days where the featurettes were pretty much like some of the main reason to buy these DVDs and these Blu-ray collections. So, again, I'm just happy that they're putting the whole thing out on Blu-ray. I'm definitely going to be picking this up.
Yep, for sure. So, if you want to pre-order those, head to our website, supermanhomepage.com. You'll find the links to order them through Amazon, through our website. And when you do, we get a bit of a kickback, so it doesn't cost you any more. It just makes things better for us to continue to maintain this website. Now, for comic book fans, here is what is available this week if you're a comic book reader. And for Superman fans, we have Justice League number 47 out this week. And that is available in a variant cover right there. We already have our review of this comic book up on our website. If you want to check it out, definitely do that. Also available this week is issue 11 of the 12-issue maxi series, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, and that is also available in a weird-looking variant cover right there. Also out this week in digital format, the digital first publishing program, already out to download, is Superman, the Man of Tomorrow number 8. I read this last night. I love this digital first series. It's really captures the essence of Superman, and while he doesn't look like he's having the best time there on that cover, it is definitely a story worth checking out. Also out this week in hardcover with a slipcase is Doomsday Clock Part 2, and that is what's available for comic book fans this week.
Anthony in the chat was like, there was a Filmation Superboy animated series? Absolutely. It was in the 60s. It was part of the Superman Adventures. I believe it aired along with that. Those Filmation series are pretty charming. I think one of the coolest things about it is that Bob Hastings, who was the voice of Commissioner Gordon on the Batman animated series in the 90s, was the voice of Superboy. And you had Krypto, and these things were like reading Superman comics from the 60s.
Yes, I'm just going to grab
I absolutely love them. Ever since I got to see some of them when they were released on video back in the 80s.
So there's the Adventures of Superboy, a graphic there giving you an indication of what it looked like, and there's another one about to show up now of the title screen, The Adventures of Superboy. Though it was part of the Filmation series, it was almost like a secondary story, and they would always have these additional Adventures of Superboy chapters of Superman when he was a boy, that's. He said, Venkman says, Warner Archive still need to release Superman the Complete Animated Series on Blu-ray. So yeah.
Heard that.
That was a DVD release, but a Blu-ray version of that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd buy that. I would, even though I have the entire animated series on DVD, I would buy the Blu-rays in a heartbeat.
And Mike Zumo clarifies, yes, the Superboy segment was a 5-minute segment in between two longer Superman stories with the Filmation New Adventures of Superman. So while the Filmation Superman segments were released, I think due to the Superboy kind of legal thing that was happening at the time with the Fleischers, with the Seagulls, that they didn't release them, but it is definitely something that needs to be released, and probably one of the only things that we don't have a physical release of. I don't think there was any filming or video of the 1966 Broadway musical starring Bob Holliday. He did do some commercials and special appearances, but I don't think it was ever filmed. And I don't know if we necessarily need the 1975
Oh,
version.
come on. I want it. I have a bootleg VHS that I got back in the 90s. This is one of those things where it's a me thing, and I realize that. So, it's just like when I say we need this, I'm really saying I need this.
Okay, fair enough. All right, for comic book fans, this was an interesting announcement this week. DC Comics have announced that the Walmart 100-page giant anthology titles will now be replaced by shrink-wrapped collections of recent DC comic books with 4 books in a shrink-wrap pack. They are out already, available now. You can pick them up at Walmart stores across the US. They were released on just this past Sunday. Each pack of 4 is priced at $8.98 and includes a collectible backing board featuring a different DC superhero, And when you join these backing boards together, you form this image of the Justice League by Ivan Rice,
which was previously used on a serial premium, if I'm remembering correctly. You know, I the only reason I kind of go at this is what they had before the 100-page Giants.
Right.
Walmart carried packs of DC books. They were at first it was New 52 stuff, and then it was Rebirth stuff. And I'm kind of wondering if this is the best direction, because the great thing about the 100-page Giants is you had an original story, and you had reprints of like some of the best stories from Aquaman or Flash or Superman. Here, it's like you have random issues of books, and sometimes the continuity in those books is kind of dense. So is that really the foot you want to put forward to get people to want to go to the comic shop or to read more DC books?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, as you say, if it's a random issue here or there and it's part of an ongoing story, then really does that make it something that is accessible for people? Going to get confused? I'm with you there. It also says here, DC is also working to make these 4-packs available to comic book stores by September 2020. Why? They've already been published.
It's like, do I really want to pay $9 for 4 books, 3 of which I'm not going to see what they are, and to get a collectible backing board of an image that I will then put on my wall? I mean, it's just, it's like they made this up right before they went to lunch. Like, they had to get the new premium settled. Everyone's really hungry, and they just dashed this off, and then, you know, there you go. I mean, I understand, and I have no direct evidence of this. I haven't read anything, but I get the idea that maybe they're doing away with the 100-page Giants because now they're putting those original stories digital first, which is a wider audience, I will say. And, you know, do you really want to have it in print and then do the digital first when you could just make more money off of the digital first? I don't think this is a really good replacement for it, though.
No, I'm with you there. It's like you said, it's like they thought, we've got to put something in their place. How about we do this old trick? So, yeah, but if you're, you know, for Walmart people who are just maybe walking by, it might be a way in, I'm not sure. But I don't understand why you'd then put those 4-packs in comic book stores when it's like, here they were 3 months ago, we put them in Walmart stores, now in September we're going to put them back in the comic book stores.
Yeah, it's just...
I don't get it. But if you are a fan of DC comics, the DC Connect digital catalog, this new thing that they're doing now where you can actually see the... it kind of replaces previews, if you like, the previews catalog, but just for DC. Issue number 2 is now available to download. It's a catalog of all the DC comics, original graphic novels, collected editions, and collectibles that will be available in, coming up, I guess in July. And you'll also find an interview there with Tom Taylor on Hellblazer Rise and Fall, a look at the shocking death of Deadshot in Suicide Squad number 9, and more behind-the-scenes features. So this is a digital download. Also, for the back of the book is a checklist of all the books that are being released. This is for September and October, collected editions. So you can use that checklist to take to your local comic shop and let them know what you're looking forward to picking up, and it helps them do their pre-orders. You can put your name, phone number, email, and the store down there on the bottom as well.
Yeah, you're not going to be doing previews anymore, so got to do something.
Yeah, and I guess using a digital format allows them to probably put links in there to video interviews and have some more interactive type features that you can do digitally that you can't really do in print.
Yeah, and I like this mainly because, again, it puts it into a wider audience. Not everyone goes to the comic shop. People who buy their books digitally may not ever set foot in a comic shop, so why not give them, the option of seeing this so that they can be in on that previews fun as well.
Now, here was a story that I thought you would find fascinating, was the fact that Spotify, Warner Brothers, and DC announced a podcast partnership. Now, they're going to be producing a slate of original podcast material. It's going to be script-based material, which is always interesting. What did you make of this announcement?
Marvel's doing something similar, as I found out, because I made a snarky post just because I felt like being snarky. I'm not really upset one way or the other, but I like the idea that they're basically going to be putting out audio dramas.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's an art form that you and I both have not only a soft spot, a deep and unbiting love, I would say. And, it's not all going to be Superman, obviously, but hopefully there'll be something Superman related in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of cool. I mean, that's just, it's another way of getting these IPs out there. So why not? It's just like you have the ability to do this. Audio is cheaper than animation, so why not?
Indeed. So, we'll look for that in the near future. All right, before we wrap up, we can do a This Week in History. I'll play your promo for you. Here we go.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bottles of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
Alrighty, we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'll kind of barrel through this as fast as I can. Why is this out of order? I am really upset now. What the heck happened? Oh no. Everything's out of order. Going back to 1940, Action Comics number 27, where Superman's fighting a lion. So absolutely nothing wrong with that. Hopefully he's not too hard on the lion. Jumping forward to 1960, I loved this. The first Giant Superman annual came out this week in 1960. And that was one of the first big reprint books that launched a lot of Superman fans, from what I understand. 1970, we have Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, where Lois Lane is marrying the devil. God, those covers were goofy, but I loved them.
Right there, yes.
Yeah. Jumping to 1980, Action Comics number 511 has this really cool Lex Luthor and Superman teaming up against Terra Man. Nothing wrong with that. And the New Adventures of Superboy featured 2 Superboy stories with some really great Kurt Schaffenberger art in that. Jumping ahead to 1990, Who's Who in the DC Universe number 1 with the cover feature of Superman as drawn by Jerry Ordway. But if you just wanted a story, Adventures of Superman number 459, which featured the return of Siphon and Dreadnought, and Superman and Lois dating. That was a big issue for me. Jumping forward to 2000, Superman the Man of Steel number 103, where Superman is using his heat vision on the cover. Glad they never did that again. You also had Superboy number 77, which is the depowered Superboy with the black t-shirt that I remember buying.
Mm-hmm.
Going to 2010, Superman number 700, which started the whole Grounded storyline. You also had Legion of Superheroes number 2, which had a variant cover of Jim Lee drawing Superboy, and Supergirl number 53, which was the first post-New Krypton story. And I think that's pretty much all we have time for in the comic book wise. So that is This Week in History for Superman.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. That was cool. And yeah, Anthony, just answering your question, Supergirl number 42, the final issue of that comic book, which will be released digitally, will be July 1. So look for that. I think it's July 1. I wrote it down here. Yes, July 1st is when that comic book will be released digitally, the final issue of that Supergirl series. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's episode. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to watch us live via YouTube. Thanks to everyone with your comments there, for your questions and your super chats. We really appreciate everything, all your participation. And want to thank you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, pleasure as always, Steve.
Now, the complete 1 hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage, website, and our YouTube channel. If you'd like to watch it back, or perhaps you missed part of the show, you'll be able to watch it in full at those locations. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And remember, if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you can sponsor the site for as little as $1. You might also like to become a Superman homepage YouTube member, where all you have to do is click on the join button below on this YouTube video. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, June 30th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking to you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice. On behalf of myself and Michael Bailey, thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.